What if the most important revolution in human history is happening right now, and almost no one is talking about it? Not in the way that truly matters, anyway. While we're mesmerized by AI that can paint a picture or write a poem, and while headlines speculate about the far-off, theoretical wonders of quantum computing, a silent coup is underway. Behind the closed doors of corporate boardrooms and classified government labs, a power is being forged that will make the empires of old look like sandbox kingdoms. This isn't just about faster computers or smarter algorithms. This is about the construction of a new world order, one built on a foundation of quantum bits and artificial intelligence. They are building the architecture of our future, and we, the public, have not been invited to the table. This is the story of the Quantum AI Alliance, the hidden power shift that will define the 21st century and, quite possibly, the rest of human history. When you hear quantum computing, your eyes probably glaze over. It sounds like something from a sci-fi movie, complex, abstract, and decades away. And when you hear artificial intelligence, you likely think of ChatGPT, self-driving cars, or maybe a dystopian movie about robots. The public debate is loud, chaotic, and focused on the immediate and the sensational. Will AI take our jobs? Is this AI-generated image art? These are interesting questions, but they are a distraction. They are the magician's left hand, drawing your attention while the right hand performs the real trick. The real trick, the one that matters, is the quiet, deliberate fusion of these two monumental technologies. Imagine AI as a brilliant, strategic mind, a grandmaster of chess who can see a million moves ahead. Now, imagine quantum computing as a near-omnipotent force that can calculate all million of those moves, and all their possible outcomes, in an instant. One provides the intelligence, the other provides the power to wield that intelligence on a scale previously unimaginable. Powerful corporations, the household names that already define our digital lives, are not just exploring this fusion, they are weaponizing it. Governments, not to be left behind, are funding and partnering with them, creating a new kind of military-industrial complex for the digital age. They aren't just shaping innovation, they are building the walls of a new reality and handing the keys to a select few. This alliance is seizing control over the very operating system of human civilization, and most of us don't even know the installation has begun. This isn't a story of happy accidents or garage-based innovators. This is a story of deliberate, strategic consolidation. Think of the titans of our age: Google, with its seemingly infinite well of data, and its world-class AI lab, DeepMind; IBM, the legacy giant that has staked its future on quantum dominance with its AI, Watson; Microsoft, the sovereign of the cloud, weaving quantum capabilities directly into its Azure platform; and Amazon, the backbone of the internet itself through AWS, now offering quantum computing as a service. These are not simple collaborations. When Google pairs its Sycamore quantum processor with DeepMind's learning algorithms, it's not just an experiment. It is a calculated step toward creating a machine that can solve problems currently unsolvable by any human or classical computer, from designing new pharmaceuticals at the molecular level to creating financial models that can predict market fluctuations with terrifying accuracy. When IBM creates its Q network, bringing together over 200 corporations, startups, and universities, it isn't just fostering a community. It is building a technological kingdom and inviting others to become its vassals, dependent on its central quantum power. Microsoft's partnerships with IonQ and Quantinuum are not just business deals, they are strategic acquisitions of power, ensuring that their cloud, Azure, becomes the indispensable territory where the quantum future is built. Each of these moves is a piece being placed on a global chessboard. They are creating interlocking systems of power where Google's AI research benefits from its quantum hardware, which in turn strengthens its cloud services, which then gathers more data to feed its AI. It's a self-reinforcing loop of power, a technological flywheel that, once it reaches a certain speed, will be impossible for anyone else to catch. They are building global technological empires, and their goal is to dictate the terms of our digital future: who gets to participate, who gets to innovate, and who is left behind. Let me give you a timeline that should send a chill down your spine. Experts and insiders project that by 2025, that's just around the corner, fewer than 10 entities on the entire planet will control over 90% of the world's advanced quantum AI capabilities. Let that sink in. Not 100 companies, not a dozen nations. Fewer than 10. This isn't just another technological leap, like the shift from steam to electricity or from the typewriter to the personal computer. This is different. The fusion of quantum and AI presents what philosophers call an ontological shift, a change in the nature of being itself. The power to wield this technology is not just the power to influence the economy, it is the power to define reality. What does that mean, practically? It means the ability to create unbreakable encryption for yourself while shattering the privacy of everyone else. It means the ability to model and predict human behavior on a societal scale, not just to sell ads, but to shape public opinion, guide political movements, or even quell dissent before it begins. It means having the power to simulate the global climate with such precision that you could, in theory, know the exact economic and social consequences of every environmental policy, giving you the ultimate say in the planet's future. The few who own quantum AI won't just be market leaders. They will be the new high priests of our civilization, holding the keys to a form of knowledge and power that is functionally indistinguishable from magic to the rest of the world. This is the most dangerous, most absolute consolidation of power in all of modern history, and it is happening faster than any of us can comprehend. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Every era of human history has been defined by a transformative technology, and in every era, those who controlled that technology controlled society. Think of the industrial age. It wasn't just about steam engines and factories. It was about the railroad barons like Cornelius Vanderbilt. By controlling the rails, he controlled the flow of goods, resources, and people across the nation. He could decide, on a whim, which towns would boom and which would wither and die. He held the fate of entire communities in his hands. The oil barons like John D. Rockefeller did the same, controlling the energy that fueled the modern world, and in doing so, amassing a level of wealth and influence that rivaled governments. Then came the information age. The new barons were named Gates, Jobs, and Zuckerberg. They didn't control physical tracks or pipelines. They controlled the digital ones. They built the operating systems, the social networks, and the search engines, the very platforms upon which our modern lives are lived. They became the gatekeepers of information, communication, and commerce. Now, we are entering what can only be called the age of quantum intelligence. And the pattern is holding. But this time, the technology is exponentially more powerful. The railroad barons controlled physical movement. The information barons control the flow of data. The quantum barons will control the very fabric of reality, the ability to compute, to simulate, to predict, and ultimately to manipulate, on a level that previous titans of industry could only dream of. They will wield the power to direct not just every digital system, but by extension, every facet of every human life connected to those systems. And in today's world, that means everyone. This isn't one monolithic entity, it's a collection of competing, and sometimes collaborating, digital empires, each carving out its dominion. First, there is the Google Quantum AI empire. This is the philosopher king of the group. With DeepMind's almost theological quest to solve intelligence and its vast resources, Google is pursuing the most fundamental breakthroughs. They are supported by a web of alliances with institutions like NASA and elite universities like Stanford and MIT. Their empire is one of intellectual and computational supremacy, aiming to achieve a first-mover advantage so profound that no one can ever catch up. They seek to know the secrets of the universe and then sell those secrets back to the rest of us. Then, you have the IBM Quantum Network. IBM is the elder statesman, the great connector. Their strategy is not to hold all the power themselves, but to become the indispensable platform for everyone else. With their Q network, they are building a global federation with over 200 members, all plugged into IBM's quantum mainframes and running on Watson's AI. They are the new Rome, building the roads, the quantum networks that all commerce and research must travel upon, and taking a toll at every gate. Next is the Microsoft Azure Quantum AI. Microsoft is the great integrator. They are playing a long game, leveraging their unshakable dominance in cloud computing. By integrating quantum systems from partners like IonQ and Quantum directly into their Azure cloud platform, they are making quantum power a utility, like electricity. But remember, the one who owns the power plant and the grid holds the ultimate switch. Their empire is one of infrastructure, a digital territory where millions of businesses already live, and from which they will have no easy escape. We also have Amazon. Break it. Amazon is the ultimate landlord of the digital world. Through Amazon Web Services AWS, they already own the foundational layer of the internet that countless companies rely on. With Break It, they are doing the same for the quantum era. They are offering access to different types of quantum hardware, positioning themselves not as the creator of one specific technology, but as the marketplace owner who controls the entire ecosystem. Their power is subtle but absolute. They control the ground on which everyone else must build. And finally, we cannot ignore China's quantum AI initiative. This is not just a corporate empire, it is a national one. This is the fusion of state power with corporate muscle, uniting government resources with tech giants like Alibaba, Baidu, and Tencent. Their goal is explicitly strategic: to achieve national supremacy in technology for economic, military, and surveillance purposes. This creates a powerful rival bloc, but it doesn't offer a more democratic alternative. It offers a future of centralized control, just under a different flag. Make no mistake, this is not just a corporate endeavor. Behind these corporate titans stand the immense resources and authority of state institutions. In the West, this forms a powerful, interlocking bloc. The Pentagon's research arm, DARPA, which gave us the internet, is pouring billions into quantum and AI research. The U.S. Department of Energy, with its network of national laboratories, provides the heavy-duty scientific infrastructure. European research councils are doing the same, coordinating efforts across the continent. This creates a Western quantum AI bloc, a public-private partnership on an unprecedented scale. And at the heart of this bloc are the world's most elite universities: MIT, Harvard, Caltech, Oxford, Cambridge. They are no longer just independent centers of learning. They have become the de facto research and development wings, and more importantly, the talent pipelines for the alliance. Think of it as a closed-loop system. Governments provide the funding and the national security imperative. Corporations provide the commercial drive and the platform infrastructure. And universities provide the intellectual capital, the brilliant young minds who are trained on the alliance's platforms, work on the alliance's problems, and are then hired exclusively by alliance members. This system starves any potential competitor of the three things they need most: money, infrastructure, and talent. It reinforces the monopoly, ensuring that the intellectual and creative energy of our best and brightest flows directly back to the very entities consolidating this power. So, how does this quantum AI alliance maintain its dominance? It's not through a single method, but through several interlocking mechanisms that create a fortress so formidable, it's nearly impossible to breach. First, patent ownership. They are creating what's known as a patent thicket, a dense web of patents on everything from quantum hardware designs to specific AI algorithms. This acts as a legal minefield. Any startup or competitor who tries to innovate in this space will inevitably step on one of these patents, triggering a lawsuit they cannot afford to fight. It's a way of legally blocking competition before it can even start. Second, talent monopolization. We just touched on this, but it's worth repeating. By offering salaries, resources, and research opportunities that no university or small company can match, they create an intellectual gravity well. The most brilliant minds in the field are pulled into their orbit, not just to work for them, but to prevent them from working for anyone else. Third, infrastructure control. This is perhaps the most insidious mechanism. Most new quantum and AI development relies on cloud platforms. Where do you go to rent computing power? To Amazon's AWS, Microsoft's Azure, or Google Cloud. You are forced to build your potential challenge to their dominance on their own home turf. They are the landlords of the digital age, and they can raise the rent, change the terms, or even evict you at any time. Fourth, regulatory influence. These corporations spend billions on lobbying. They have armies of lawyers and policy experts in Washington, Brussels, and every other major capital, shaping laws and regulations on everything from data privacy to AI ethics. They ensure that the rules of the game are written in their favor, creating a regulatory environment that favors incumbents and stifles new entrants. And finally, financial and data supremacy. This is the engine that drives it all. Their immense profits allow them to acquire any promising competitor before it becomes a threat. And their access to vast, proprietary datasets, our search histories, our social connections, our purchasing habits gives them an insurmountable advantage in training the next generation of AI. It's a self-sustaining loop. Money and data create better tech, which in turn generates more money and data. The alliance is not just powerful. It's designed to become more powerful every single day. This might all sound abstract, like a corporate power game that doesn't affect you. Let me bring it home. The power of this alliance will manifest in every major domain of your life. In finance, forget stock tips. We're talking about the ability to predict market movements with such accuracy that they can front-run every trade, control global capital flows, and potentially even trigger or prevent economic crises to serve their own interests. The stability of your pension, your mortgage, and the entire global economy could be in their hands. In supply chains, they will have the power to optimize and direct the distribution of resources on a global scale. This sounds great, no more shipping delays. But it also means they can decide which countries get critical resources in a time of crisis, and which do not. They could control the flow of food, medicine, and energy. In healthcare, quantum AI could design personalized drugs and cure diseases once thought incurable. But it also means they will decide which diseases get cured. Will they prioritize a cure for a rare childhood disease that affects a few thousand, or a lucrative lifestyle drug for millions? Their algorithms, driven by profit, will make life or death decisions. In privacy and communication, this is a stark one. They will have the power to break most forms of current encryption, rendering all our digital secrets, our emails, bank records, and private messages transparent to them. At the same time, they will develop and sell quantum secure communication, making true privacy a premium service, a luxury good for the rich and powerful. In science and knowledge, they will control the research agendas. The scientific discoveries of the next century will be made using their tools, on their platforms. They will decide which questions are worth asking and which knowledge is shared with the public. And most chillingly, in social and political control, with the ability to model and predict human behavior on a mass scale, they can craft messages and interventions that influence public opinion, shape election outcomes, and manage populations. This is Cambridge Analytica multiplied by a billion. It is the power to manufacture consent, to maintain order, and to create a society that is perfectly managed, perfectly predictable, and utterly unfree. Now, the picture I've painted is bleak, but it's not without resistance. There are people fighting back. But we need to be realistic about their chances. You have the open source movement, with projects like IBM's own Qiskit and Xanadu's Penelane. These are noble attempts to democratize access to quantum programming. But here's the catch. The software may be open, but the hardware it runs on is almost exclusively owned and controlled by the alliance members. It's like being given free, open source car designs, but having to buy all the fuel from a single, monopolistic company. You have governments beginning to wake up to the threat. They're talking about antitrust lawsuits and new regulations, but they are massively outgunned. The legal and technical expertise of these corporations dwarfs that of most government agencies. And how do you regulate a technology that you don't fully understand, and that is evolving faster than any legislative body can possibly keep up with? You have universities and startups striving for independence. There are brilliant pockets of innovation outside the alliance, but they are financially outmatched. When a small startup makes a breakthrough, it's far more likely to be acquired by a tech giant for $1 billion than it is to grow into a true competitor. And even the geopolitical competition from rival blocs in China and Europe doesn't necessarily lead to true decentralization. It's more likely to create a world with 2 or 3 competing, centralized power structures, rather than a world with a vibrant, decentralized ecosystem. It's a choice between different masters, not a choice of freedom. The resistance exists, but it is fragmented, underfunded, and fighting an uphill battle on a field designed by their opponents. The decisions we make or fail to make in the next 5 years will lock us into a path for generations to come. As I see it, there are 5 possible futures unfolding before us. First, the benevolent technocracy. This is the utopian sales pitch. The Alliance uses its immense power responsibly to solve humanity's greatest challenges: climate change, disease, poverty. The world becomes a well-managed garden, cared for by wise, algorithmic overlords. The question is, who holds the benevolent dictators accountable when their interests no longer align with ours? Second, corporate feudalism. In this future, the tech giants become our new monarchs. We live on their digital lands, work in their algorithmic economies, and are subject to their terms of service. Democracy withers, replaced by the cold, efficient logic of the algorithm. We become digital serfs, trading freedom for convenience and security. Third, multipolar competition. The world splits into competing technological spheres of influence, likely one led by the US and its allies, and another by China. A new Cold War is fought not with nuclear weapons, but with quantum AI, cyber attacks, and digital propaganda. Your digital identity would be tied to your geopolitical bloc, and the internet would become a balkanized battleground. Fourth, democratic quantum AI. This is the hopeful, but most difficult, path. A global movement of citizens, policymakers, and ethical technologists successfully pressures the Alliance to open up. Access is democratized, governance is shared, and ethical guardrails are enshrined in international law. Technology serves humanity, not the other way around. This requires a level of public awareness and political will that we have not yet seen. And fifth, system collapse. In this chaotic scenario, the technology underperforms. The promises of quantum AI turn out to be overhyped, and the massive investment creates a bubble that bursts. This could lead to economic turmoil, but it might also create an opening for alternative, decentralized, and more resilient technologies to emerge from the wreckage. Which of these futures will we inhabit? The choice is still, just barely, ours to make. I want to be crystal clear. The Quantum AI Alliance represents the greatest and most rapid concentration of power in human history. Every past technological revolution, the printing press, the steam engine, even the internet, had a messy, chaotic, and often democratizing period of growth. Power was up for grabs. This revolution is different. It is being born fully formed and fully controlled. From its inception, it is centralized, proprietary, and owned by a handful of entities who understood its power long before the public did. The power to create and control this technology is the power to write the rules for our collective future. Whether that power liberates humanity, allowing us to solve our most intractable problems, or whether it quietly enslaves us in a perfectly managed, perfectly unfree world, depends entirely on the decisions we make right now. We must have a global conversation about access, about governance, and about ethics. The fate of human freedom, of agency, of what it even means to be human, may very well hinge on whether we, the people, wake up and act before that window slams shut for good. So, what can you do? It feels overwhelming, I know. You're not a quantum physicist or a C-suite executive. But you don't have to be. As this new architecture of power quietly rises around us, the single most important tool we have is understanding. Awareness is our first and last line of defense against a future we did not choose. The lesson here is not to fear technology, but to question power. The advice isn't to throw away your smartphone, but to become fiercely literate about the systems you use every day. Start asking the hard questions. When you use a free service, what are you paying with? Who owns the data that you generate? Who benefits from the algorithms that shape your newsfeed and your search results? Support independent journalism and organizations that are fighting for digital rights. Talk to your friends, your family, and your elected representatives about these issues. Demand transparency and accountability from the companies and governments building this future. The future is being rewritten right now, in lines of code, in complex algorithms, and in the strange quantum dance of qubits. But the source code of our society should not belong to a handful of corporations. It belongs to all of us. And so, I'll leave you with these questions to ponder. How can we build a future where technology serves the public good, not just private profit? And what is one small step you can take, starting today, to become a more conscious and empowered digital citizen? If this conversation sparked something in you, if it made you think or question, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing this video. Spreading this knowledge is the most powerful thing we can do together. Thank you for watching.